Guys, welcome back. It's another Wednesday, it's another 11 a.m. First of all, I enjoyed that stuff a lot. Getting questions from you is actually really enticing and fun for me, apparently. So bring on the questions. We have a more equipment-based, equipment oriented question today, which is nice. Bring on the questions. I'm trying to answer them as short but as precise as possible. So here we go.
Hi, everyone. So today's question is a very broad topic, like barbell versus sandbag, advantages, disadvantages.
It's a hot topic. So I'm covering this in the book a lot because, okay, first of all, we have to dial back a little bit. So equipment and exercises should only nurture one function. That is, help you get in the right position with the right tension. That's it. I know the barbell versus something else, the kettlebell versus dumbbell, the X versus Y is more of a religious debate than it is about the purpose it's serving. All right, so let's start with this. The equipment should benefit your position and creating tension. What does that mean? Let's do a practical example. Let's do the squat, for example. Think about the difference between the barbell back squat and the sandbag squat, like a bear hug squat. So first of all, this is about loading positions. What does that mean? That means you have to load your hips on the way down. So bringing your hips backwards and bringing your hips forward. That's all a squat is. Bringing your hips from a standing position to that bottom position and back up. That's the whole fuzz about squat. It's not that complicated. All right. Now we have to think about what's the purpose of the position. The purpose of the position is what we see the most is joints collapsing towards the inside. So that means everybody's aware of whether that's the shoulders rounding in a squat when the barbell's on your back, or your knees caving in, or your ankles caving in, or even worse, your hip doing something funny. All right. So the whole point here is which one should we start with? This is not about the sandbag or the barbell is better. I think we need to have a discussion about and think about how to create a progression from one thing, the more natural thing, the sandbag, towards the barbell. I think the combination of both is the solution and the answer. What's more natural? Let's start with a simple observation. And I've done this hundreds of times. I've given newbies, so people just joining the gym, I've given them a sandbag and let them do like 10, 20 squats. And I've given them an empty barbell, obviously, and let them buzz around with 20 back squats. So the fun part about the sandbag is every rep gets better, looks better, and gets better. So the first rep is going to look shitty. For somebody that has never trained, is super weak, maybe has some issues, it's going to be wobbly, right? But on the 7th, 8th, or 12th, or 15th rep, there's something happening, which is the squat is starting to look better and better. That means less bone displacement and more tension in glutes, hamstrings, that are the good stuff that we need. The opposite is true for the barbell. So when somebody new starts using a barbell, the first, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squats look exactly the same as in a sandbag. It looks shitty, which is fine in the beginning, but it's getting worse and worse over time. So the 18th or 19th or 20th rep is like, oh, this kind of looks dangerous. We should better stop now. This is not very scientific, but I've seen this hundreds of times. That's the only measurement and judgment I have for which equipment to start with. This is, again, not a religious debate. This is what works better for normal people when they're starting to squat. And the clear answer is it's a sandbag. All right, here's the more nuanced approach to it. That doesn't mean I will stop at squatting with sandbag with people. Absolutely not. My end goal is, and I actually said that in the last coaches meeting, I think is everybody should be able, guys, to squat 200 kilos and ladies 100 and whatever, 120 kilos with a freaking barbell, right? So there's something in between that we need to work on. But my goal is to get you under a barbell and you're squatting 200 kilos. Now, that might be not your goal, which is fine. So we can start a little bit earlier and be like, okay, we're fine with using a sandbag or maybe like a safety squat, and we don't have to use a barbell. So that's the realm where we're working in. I want to get you to a barbell with 200 kilos, but I don't have to if that's not your goal. If your goal is, I want to compete at a powerlifting event in like 15 years from now, oh hell yeah, then we should better practice how to use a barbell properly. So that's my general approach. There's stuff where, and that's really important to say, where the barbell makes way more sense than a sandbag. Let's take pulling, for example. So bring an object towards your chest. That means towards your spine. Shoulder blades going together, going in, so to speak. This sandbag is the worst pulling tool ever, ever. Why? Because it limits the range of motion that you can actually pull towards your chest. So that means you have like a 50-kilo sandbag, you're bending over doing like horizontal rows, and the sandbag has to stop, obviously, because the sandbag is in the way, has to stop further than you can actually pull a barbell in, right? So that already gives you a higher chance of using your lats because that's what we want to train when we're pulling. It's not automatic in doing barbell rows, of course not, but that's not the topic of today. So the topic of today is which equipment serves the purpose of whatever we want to achieve in the moment. That's how I differentiate between using a sandbag or a barbell and everything. I'm sorry, everything in between. Whether that's dumbbells, whether it's bells, whether it's safety squat bars, whether that's Swiss bars. So there's a lot in between. We can actually use this. I have a hierarchy in the book, which is broken down to the main movements, which means squat, deadlift, and press. And it starts with the sandbag, and you see all the options in between, combined with exercises until you reach the barbell back squat. So that's the hierarchy that we use in the gym, starting from obviously my favorite exercise, the sandbag box squat, going to a normal sandbag squat, and having like a true progression of how you can get from A to Z in a measurable way, so you see progress and you don't get hurt. That's the only measurement for me. So stepping away from a religious debate, this is what you have to use towards serve a purpose and what works best to reach your personal goal. Long ass answer.
Do you have a theory as to why the sandbag squats become nicer the more often you do them in opposition to the barbell squat?
Yes, it's not a theory because I know why it's working. That's what I've been working on for the last 15 years. Um, okay, so our body is built to create tension towards the inside. For tens of thousands of years, we've done everything in between our hands. So whenever there's something to be moved, you either grip it or you squeeze it or you press it. It's very unnatural to have weight outside of your center of mass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the difference is the sandbag is here. Your center of mass is whatever. Let's say around your belly button. Doesn't matter. But it's on the inside, and the further the object is away from that center of mass, the harder it is to create tension towards the inside. That means it's just like that's just physics. Weight on the outside of a barbell is harder to create tension towards the inside. That's the whole fuzz about whether it's kettlebells or sandbags. It's just easier to move more naturally, meaning creating tension towards the inside. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in your anchors, in your hands, and in your feet, and in your hips. But I think we shouldn't go down that road because maybe just a little snippet about tension and rotation. And because the fitness world is using rotation a lot, like cueing, external rotation, internal rotation, etc. I think that's a wrong approach. I think tension creates rotation and not the other way around. That means I can rotate my whatever, big thigh bone or big arm bone or whatever, and nothing, very little happens to your muscle. The contrary happens. You can actually try this at home right now. Stand tall, squeeze your booty. You know what happens? when you stand tall and squeeze your booty, your big thigh bone is rotating towards the outside. Try it out right now. There you go. Yes, you, my dear.
Yeah, it works. It really does work.
No. It's not. It doesn't. It's not working or not working. That's just the way it is. We have to accept that that's how the body works. You create tension first, and then rotation. The right rotation happens. If you focus on creating rotation, that means jack shit for tension, zero. Um, and that's the whole point about the sandbag. So the sandbag just helps you create more tension, which helps you create the right rotation, which helps you build towards a better 16th or 17th squat. That's all that's happening. It's just the Sandbag squat is literally getting out of the way of your own body and your own ego. That's it. That's what the Sandbag is doing. Just for context, the barbell has been around for roughly 150 years. 150 years. That's like 0.0000000 of our human existence. We've been using stuff in between our hands for like 10,000s of years, and the bulb has been around for 150 years, which is an awesome tool. Because why? Because you can put more weight on a barbell than you can actually hold in between your hands. So it serves a purpose. But let's not forget where we're coming from, and we have to just reestablish that way of training. It's not even a way of training. The stuff that we're doing in the gym sounds or looks so different than everybody else, but it's normal. We do the normal stuff, but it looks so outrageous and so different because everybody else is just heading in a very different direction, which is okay, barbell all the way, and let's focus on rotation. And that's why our stuff just works. And that's the only thing I care about. And I want to teach you guys how you can implement that in your gym. And that's it. And you keep using your barbells. I have zero problem. Like barbell is great, but we have to literally make sure we realize where we're coming from and how to at least start training normal people, period.
When you do train normal people with sandbags, how do you progress it? I know that we do front rack squats. We also do bear hug squats. What's the difference there?
Um, so there's a huge difference between squatting variations. So the bear hug squat is probably the easiest sandbag squat, right? Because you just hug it. There's no need for your shoulder to engage dramatically. Whereas in a front squat, like you have to have your shoulder shit together. Otherwise, stuff will happen. Let's break it down a little bit. So the sandbag, okay, here's the coaching cues that I use for the sandbag squat. Yes, exactly. I say nothing. I grab the sandbag, squat down and squat up, and 20 times. And I just stand there and whatever, make fun of you or entertain you or just videotape you, whatever is needed, right? That's it. That's all it takes for a sandbag squat. Um, for the front rack squat, it's a self-correcting exercise because now you have to engage your lats. Like in a front rack position where your chest needs to be up, like your lats have to hold that thingy in place. The cool thing about the sandbag is you cannot fake it, right? Because if you have no lats, you will drop the sandbag. There's no way around it. Because it's not only about the lats. The position of your upper torso is defined by your side abs, so your obliques, the engagement of your obliques, and your lats. And those are going to be challenged dramatically with the sandbag front squat. Like you have to create tension there. If not, you're going to crumble. That means your shoulder's going to roll forward. As soon as your shoulder's going to roll forward, you have to drop the sandbag. The shit show about the barbell front rack squat is you can fake that with your wrist, right? That's why so many people get problems with their wrist because whatever you're lacking in terms of lats and oblique engagement, you can compensate with bones, which is never a good idea, right? And that's why I love the front rack squat so much because it's like swallowing the truth pill. There's you cannot hide anything. It's just this squat will tell me everything about your body because you have to engage your hips, You have to get your spine in there and you have to have your shoulders under control. If not, you're going to run into issues. Um, I've seen very funny front rack squats, so to speak, from very strong people, which are primed to use the quads while squatting. This looks funny. I won't post any videos about it, but it looks really funny once your body is forced to engage muscles a certain way and they're not there and that person is really strong. It just looks really funny because that person needs to make it work because the sandbag is probably like whatever half the weight that they're normally squatting. It looks funny. Point being is sandbag bear hug, awesome. Gets your hips going, teaches your neutral hip, gets your inside hamstring, the glutes going. It's just there's just nothing better than a sandbag squat. I do it every week. I hate it. I don't like it, but it just helps so much. I'm not looking forward to it. Usually combine it with a carry, so it gets even more shitty, but it helps so much getting stronger. Front track carry helps you find, not helps you find, it forces you to use your lats and your obliques, period. Try something. Whatever your front rack squat is, I front rack squat probably 150 kilos, 160 kilos on a good day. Try to go for 3 reps with half the weight of your front rack barbell squat with the sandbag. So for me, that means 75, 80 kilos in a front rack squat. That shit's hard. I actually don't know. I'm gonna try it out now because I have an 80 kilo sandbag here. That's really tough, right? So that's how you can test your structure outside of displacing bones. Like the sandbag is gonna be truthful to you no matter what. It's like um, I shouldn't say this on camera, but the sandbag is like your wife. She always gives you shit. She always loves you, but you know you better not mess with her. That's how I view the sandbag.
And what is a barbell then in comparison to a wife?
The barb is a bitch. That's it. It's nice. It's nice to have a couple of meetings every now and then, but you shouldn't meet bitches every day. We should probably edit this out. Whatever.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yep, that's it for today. Good questions. Bring them on. A little teaser for next week. Maybe we can edit that clip out and use it as a teaser for next week. Hint, hint. Is next week I'm obviously going to answer your question, guys, but I'm also going to bring up a topic which I call the how to approach getting stronger. I call it the funny name ping pong cycle of strength, which is playing with position with tension and how to apply it to a box squat so you guys can become your own coach and your own whatever master of your faith of getting stronger, and you don't need anybody anymore telling you how you look, what you should be doing better. Like we're gonna cover it all next week. The ping pong strength cycle. Look forward to it. It's fun. Sounds good. All right. Bring on the questions. My telephone number is everywhere out there. Send it on Instagram at wearegregs at gregorgregs. Send me letters, send me emails, whatever you want. Bring them on, and I'm trying to answer it with a loving heart.